Hi, welcome back to the channel. My name is Claire and I'm a senior lecturer in physiotherapy. And in this video, I am going to talk through how you write your abstracts for your literature review done systematically. And again, this is getting close to the end. So, step 8 really, this is about presenting the findings. Your abstract really is probably one of the last things you're going to be writing. So, you are almost there. Keep going. Your abstract is really your movie trailer for the rest of your review. You know yourself, you will have read lots of abstracts in this process of doing your review. So you want to make sure that you are clear, that you're concise, and you've just got the main important details included in that abstract. As I say, your abstract is generally the last thing that you're going to be writing up. You can actually write your introduction, your methods part to your abstract as you go along if you want, or equally, you can save it and do it all at the end. It's up to you, however you want to do it. You want to write your abstract as if it's a standalone document. So you almost kind of need to forget about all that content that you've got in your literature review because the reader won't necessarily have read all of that information at the time. So write it as if it's the first time that this reader is reading that information. So yeah, keep it as a standalone document. What you want to do is focus on the main issues and messages. So, what I would do is I go back to each section I've written and I ask myself, what's the main message here? And then I cut and paste those sentences from the relevant parts of that, from that particular part of the structure. I paste that into my abstract section. And then I think, okay, so, what were the main parts of the introduction? Where do I need to focus on that in the abstract? So, use what you've already written to get those main parts into your abstract and then rework it from there. You want to be realistic about the importance of the message. So sometimes I have read abstracts and a student might be doing a review on something like something high tech. Let's take that as an example. So virtual reality. And they might say, there's so much evidence that virtual reality is important in clinical practice for patients recovering from whatever it is they're recovering from. And so the recommendation is that everyone should have access to virtual reality. And that's a massive overstatement, really, of the findings and really of the recommendations to practice because most people probably can't afford virtual reality. Yeah, it'd be amazing if we all had virtual reality, wouldn't it? And we might do one day, but just don't overstate the message. So just make sure it's really well measured. You probably want to read 2 or 3 similar abstracts before you start writing yours, because you'll see there's a little bit of a formula to writing abstracts once you've read a few. So look at others to get ideas for how you might formulate that. So if you're doing a quantitative review, read some quantitative abstracts. If you're doing a qualitative review, read some qualitative review abstracts just to give you a bit more of an idea. And then do make sure you follow the guidance from your lecturers or the journal if you're submitting for publication. It's not like there is a set structure for doing an abstract. It will vary depending upon the expectations of what your uni is looking for or what a journal is looking for. So do really pay attention to what it is they're asking you to do. And just a reminder, generally references are not included in abstracts, but then sometimes I have had to submit an abstract that had references in it. So do check the guidance for sure, but generally speaking, you probably wouldn't include references. Often they'll be looking for a structured abstract. So it'll have a background / intro section, aim / objective / research question, methods, results, and conclusion. So when you're doing the intro part, you'll still want to follow the funnel method. So you'll start with the big picture problem and why that matters. But normally it's super concise, yeah. So just in one sentence. Then you'll use that to link to your aim, objective, research question. Your key methods info only will go into that method section. So which databases, how were the data extracted and critically appraised, how were the data synthesized. You'll notice that there isn't a discussion part to this structured abstract. Instead, it jumps straight into the conclusions of the study. So remember, this is just the movie trailer for your review. It's just that overall key information. So this is an example of an abstract. And again, I think this is Brenna's example. So let's just have a look at how she structured this. So in the background, she started with the problem, the COVID-19 pandemic, the number of people that affected. That then leads into the purpose of her doing her qualitative review and the aim of what she's going to be getting out of that. Methods is super concise. She did a systematic search. She's told you which databases she's used to find those relevant studies. They were assessed for quality, data were extracted, and then she's told you how that data has been synthesized using thematic synthesis. In the results, again, it's really focused. So the total number of studies found through that search strategy, that there were only 6 papers that met the inclusion criteria, that there were 4 themes generated from the thematic analysis, and then it's listed those themes, and then that's it for the results. And the conclusion is the longest part, isn't it? Because that's giving you the so what and why is this information important. And then towards the end of that, it closes with future research and what that should be focusing on. So that's just an example of an overview for an abstract so that you could kind of see a worked example. You need to make every word count because these abstracts tend to be quite short, normally around 250 words, but sometimes I've had to do them for only 150 words. So it's really, really concise. So I find students can like huff and puff a little bit with this because they're like, oh, but there's not enough words and it's really hard and there's too much I want to say. But actually, this is such a good skill to develop, that skill to be able to write concisely, make every single word count. Now, again, just write that first draft, then you can go back and edit it. And actually, you might get too close to it. So you might have to swap it and ask someone else to give you some feedback. And they will be able to see, actually, you don't need these words here. These are redundant. This kind of says the same thing. There's repetition here. So that can be a really helpful point to be getting some peer review on it to make sure it is as concise as possible. So, as always, don't overthink it. Get the first draft down, then edit it and go for it. Swap it with someone to make sure that it makes sense and there aren't any big bits missing. But it should be a relatively straightforward part to write. So, good luck with writing your abstracts.